Sometimes life becomes so heavy that you begin to wonder, will things ever get better? You pray, you wait, you try, yet the doors seem closed, the nights feel longer and the heart feels tired. But what if I told you that good times don't arrive suddenly, they announce themselves quietly? Before relief comes, there are signs. Before ease arrives, there are whispers of hope, and if you pay attention, you may realize that your good days are closer than you think. Today, let us reflect on 3 powerful signs that good times are coming your way. Hardship often intensifies just before relief arrives, and this is a reality many people only recognize in hindsight. When a person is going through difficulty, it can feel as though every door is closing at once, as though the weight on the heart is increasing rather than lifting. Problems seem to stack on top of one another, patience wears thin, and the mind begins to question how much more it can endure. Yet, this phase, as painful as it is often the point where transformation is taking place. Just as pressure deep within the earth turns ordinary carbon into a diamond, the strain you experience can be the very force shaping you for what lies ahead. Nothing meaningful changes without pressure, and nothing valuable is formed without effort. In these moments, it may appear that things are getting worse instead of better, delays become longer, tests become harder, and answers seem absent. But this intensification is not random. It strips away reliance on everything except what truly matters. It humbles the heart, sharpens awareness, and pushes a person to seek strength beyond their own limited capacity. Often, when ease is close, distractions are removed so that clarity can enter. What feels like loss may actually be space being created, and what feels like exhaustion may be the final stretch before rest. Many people give up at this stage, unaware that relief is nearer than ever. The timing is delicate because growth requires endurance, and endurance is only built when the challenge feels overwhelming. When the soul learns to stand firm despite unanswered prayers and delayed outcomes, it reaches a level of maturity it could not have reached in comfort. This is why hardship can feel most intense right before it changes, because it is completing its purpose, reshaping priorities, strengthening faith, and preparing the heart to receive what it once could not carry, what it once was not ready to hold, what it once would not have understood. Inner peace and patience often begin to grow quietly, long before circumstances change on the outside. When a person is surrounded by difficulty, the natural expectation is that relief must come first, and only then will calmness return to the heart. Yet, life frequently works in the opposite direction. Before situations improve, the heart is taught how to remain steady within the storm. Restlessness slowly gives way to acceptance, and impatience begins to soften into endurance. This internal shift may be subtle, almost unnoticeable at first, but it is deeply significant because it reflects a change that no external condition could have produced on its own. As patience grows, reactions change. The same problems may still exist, but they no longer provoke the same level of fear or frustration. There is a quiet strength that develops, a sense that not everything needs to be solved immediately, and not every delay is a sign of failure. The heart starts to understand that timing is not always within human control, and this realization brings an unexpected sense of peace. Instead of constantly asking why things are happening, the mind learns to trust that there is meaning even in waiting. This trust acts like an anchor, keeping the soul grounded when uncertainty tries to pull it apart. Inner peace is not the absence of pain, it is the ability to carry pain without being consumed by it. When this peace begins to take root, it becomes clear that external ease is no longer the sole source of comfort. A person who has learned patience can endure longer nights, unanswered questions, and slow progress without losing hope. This inner calm becomes preparation, because ease requires stability, and blessings require a heart capable of holding them. When patience matures within, it creates space for relief to arrive naturally, gently, and in its proper time. Small positive changes often appear so quietly that they are easily overlooked. yet they carry powerful meaning for those who are paying attention. When life has been difficult for a long time, the heart becomes accustomed to disappointment and may begin to expect nothing but struggle. In such moments, people often wait for dramatic transformations, believing that only major breakthroughs count as improvement. However, ease rarely announces itself all at once. It usually begins with subtle shifts, slightly lighter days, small opportunities, gentle moments of relief that signal movement in the right direction. These changes may seem insignificant, but they are often the earliest signs that a larger transformation is unfolding. A small improvement can restore hope in ways that a major event cannot. A problem that once felt impossible becomes slightly more manageable. A door that was completely closed opens just a fraction, or a burden that felt overwhelming becomes just a little easier to carry. These moments are reminders that stagnation has ended and progress has begun. Just as a seed breaks the soil before it becomes a tree, these minor changes are evidence that growth is happening beneath the surface. What is unseen is often far greater than what is visible, and what is beginning quietly may soon expand beyond expectation. When a person learns to recognize and appreciate these small shifts, gratitude naturally develops. Gratitude sharpens awareness and helps the heart stay open instead of fearful. It allows a person to receive goodness without suspicion and to trust that more is on the way. Small blessings prepare the mind for bigger ones by rebuilding confidence, strengthening patience, and renewing faith in the process. They teach the heart to notice goodness again after a long period of hardship, and this awareness itself becomes part of the blessing, shaping a mindset ready to receive what lies ahead. Letting go of what hurts is one of the most difficult acts a person can face, yet it is often the very step that allows goodness to enter. Pain has a way of attaching itself to the heart, not only through events but through memories, expectations, and unanswered questions. When someone holds tightly to hurt, whether it comes from loss, betrayal, or prolonged disappointment, it slowly fills every emotional space. The heart becomes crowded with what was, what should have been, and what never happened. In that state, even when opportunities for goodness appear, there is little room to receive them. Letting go does not mean forgetting the pain or pretending it never mattered. It means choosing not to let it define every moment that follows. Releasing hurt requires honesty and courage. It involves acknowledging the pain without allowing it to become a permanent identity. Many people resist this process because holding on can feel safer than stepping into uncertainty. Pain, though heavy, is familiar, while healing demands trust. But when the heart loosens its grip on what wounds it, something remarkable happens. Emotional space begins to open, and with that space comes clarity, lightness, and the ability to breathe again. The mind becomes less burdened by resentment and fear, and the soul becomes more receptive to peace and renewal. As space is created, goodness finds room to settle. New perspectives emerge, relationships soften, and hope slowly returns. The heart that is no longer weighed down by old pain can recognize opportunities that once went unnoticed. Letting go allows a person to move forward without dragging yesterday's wounds into today's moments. It shifts energy from survival to growth, from defense to openness. In this openness, goodness does not need to force its way in. It arrives naturally, gently filling the space once occupied by pain, reshaping the heart into something stronger, wiser, and more capable of embracing what lies ahead. Gratitude during difficulty is not a denial of pain. It is a quiet strength that changes how the heart carries its weight. When circumstances are hard, gratitude feels unnatural, even impossible, because the mind is trained to focus on what is missing, delayed, or broken. Yet choosing gratitude in such moments does not mean celebrating the struggle itself, but recognizing that not everything has been taken away. It is the ability to notice what remains steady when everything else feels uncertain. A breath that still comes easily, a lesson learned through hardship, a moment of calm in the middle of chaos. These acknowledgements soften the heart and prevent bitterness from taking root, allowing resilience to grow where despair once tried to settle. When gratitude becomes a habit during difficulty, it reshapes perspective. Instead of seeing hardship as a dead end, the heart begins to see it as a passage. Gratitude shifts focus from constant resistance to quiet acceptance, and in that acceptance, emotional energy is preserved rather than exhausted. A grateful heart is less consumed by comparison and resentment, and more open to reflection and growth. This openness changes how a person responds to challenges, replacing panic with patience and frustration with steadiness. Over time, this internal shift begins to influence external circumstances because decisions are made with clarity instead of fear, and actions are guided by trust rather than desperation. Gratitude also creates a sense of readiness. Ease, when it arrives, requires a heart that can recognize it and hold it wisely. Difficulty teaches endurance, but gratitude teaches appreciation, ensuring that future ease is not wasted or taken for granted. By acknowledging even the smallest good during hardship, a person signals emotional maturity and awareness. This mindset naturally draws moments of relief, support, and opportunity, not through force, but through alignment, as the heart becomes tuned to recognize goodness as it approaches. Trusting the process is itself a sign of coming relief, because it reflects a shift that only occurs after deep internal struggle. At the beginning of hardship, the heart resists uncertainty, searching desperately for immediate solutions and clear outcomes. Control feels necessary, and waiting feels unbearable. Over time, however, something changes. The constant need for answers softens, and the heart begins to accept that not everything can be rushed or forced. This trust does not come from ease. It is born from exhaustion, reflection, and repeated attempts that have taught the soul its limits. When a person reaches this stage, it is often because they are being carried toward relief rather than required to fight for it. Trusting the process does not mean indifference or passivity. It is an active form of patience that allows effort without obsession and hope without anxiety. A person continues to move forward, but without the heavy pressure of needing instant results. This balance brings emotional stability, allowing the mind to rest even while the situation remains unresolved. When trust replaces constant worry, the heart becomes lighter, and this lightness is often a sign that the hardest part has already passed. Relief tends to approach when resistance fades, because clarity emerges where tension once dominated. This level of trust also reflects readiness. Ease requires a heart that will not collapse under fear or misuse the calm it receives. When someone can surrender outcomes while maintaining faith in the journey, it shows growth and maturity shaped by hardship. Trust signals that lessons have been absorbed, priorities have been realigned, and strength has been quietly built. At this point, relief no longer needs to teach patience through struggle, because patience has already taken root. What follows is often a gradual unfolding rather than a sudden shift. As the process completes its work and transitions naturally into ease, as we reflect on these signs, one truth becomes clear: hardship is never wasted, and waiting is never meaningless. Every challenge shapes the heart, every delay strengthens the soul, and every quiet moment of patience prepares us for what lies ahead. Growth through struggle, peace before change, small blessings, the courage to let go, gratitude in difficulty, and trust in the process are not random experiences. They are markers along the path toward relief. When these qualities begin to appear in a person's life, they signal that transformation is already underway. Good times do not arrive without preparation, and ease does not come to an unready heart. The journey itself builds the strength required to recognize, appreciate, and sustain the relief that follows. What once felt like endless hardship begins to reveal its purpose, and what once seemed delayed begins to feel perfectly timed. By holding on to patience, nurturing gratitude, and trusting the unfolding of events, the heart becomes aligned with goodness before it fully appears. In this way, relief is not only something we wait for, it is something we grow into, step by step, through faith, endurance, and quiet hope.